Hi, Paul Sackis, Good News Planet. We're going to talk about depression. And, the holiday time is a time that I believe a lot of people are quite happy, but also are quite sad, depending on, I guess, their lifestyle, so on and so forth. And we're going to learn about some effective ways to recognize and manage this and treat. There's something, a nasal remedy. And so this is good news. And we're very excited. We have Dr. Craig Chepke. Hi, Doctor. How are you? Are you from Janssen yourself?
No, I do not work for the company, but Sally and I have partnered with Janssen to bring you this message today.
Okay, and we have Sally. Hi, Sally. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
All righty. So the doctor is going to give us some background on depression, how maybe we learn about it, how do we discover it, and how are we going to treat it. Sally is so kind, a hero, to come out and talk about her concerns in her own personal life. So maybe you can give us a little background, please. Thank you.
Sure, I'd love to. So I always say that the holiday season is to a psychiatrist what tax season is to an accountant. It's our busiest time of year. Okay. And for some people, that could look like holiday blues, but those might come and go. What major depressive disorder, or clinical depression, as many people call it, is a much more severe form of that. And it's really the differentiating point is that the person just loses the ability to function in everyday life. They have significant distress, and it doesn't just come and go. It's more persistent than that. And so that's really the main difference I'd like to point out.
And so how do you, I guess, people see this way of being, this way of life around that person, or maybe that person themselves start to realize I'm not what I was, or so on or so forth. But I guess the first step is somebody knowing that they have some problems going on in their life, right?
Yes, absolutely. So when you realize that you're kind of struggling, or if you see someone that you care about struggling, my advice would be to reach out for help. Talk to a doctor, could be a primary care doctor, psychiatrist, a therapist, just someone in mental health that can help you. And many treatments for depression are oral antidepressants, but those don't always work for everyone. And so for someone who's been on 2 oral antidepressants without good success, that's what we would categorize as treatment-resistant depression. But even though it's called treatment-resistant, there are options out there. That's the good news there. There is hope for even treatment-resistant depression. And the one treatment for a TRD is called spravato. So spravato is like any other medication. There's risk to it, there's benefits, and it's not going to be for everybody. So the important thing is to talk to your doctor to see if it's an appropriate option for you. The FDA approval is for adults with treatment-resistant depression, and also those with major depression with acute suicidal ideation. And all of that is in conjunction with an oral antidepressant.
Okay. Let's go to Sally now. And hi, Sally. Maybe you can share your story, and I want to thank you for doing this. It's very kind of you to share it.
Sure. And thank you for having me. I think that, starting from the beginning for me, I began suffering or really struggling with depression when I was in college, and it's something that I have managed all these years. I think it's really not that different than diabetes or cardiac disease. It's a disease that can be managed. You manage it daily, whether that's exercise, meditation, journaling, taking an antidepressant, all things that I was doing and continue to do. And at the beginning of this year, I really found that I had retreated from sort of my life. I sort of became a turtle. There was a lot of darkness and sort of fog of depression that was on top of me. And I spoke to my doctor. I had heard about spravato on a podcast that I listened to. And so I spoke to my doctor and I said, is this something that maybe could help me? I'm already taking an antidepressant, but it just doesn't really seem to be helping me at this point. And so with his help, I spoke to a clinic here locally and began treatment in the spring for treatment-resistant depression, and have been continuing that treatment throughout the year. And it's made a big difference for me. Everybody presents differently with depression, and everyone reacts differently to antidepressants or any kind of medication. So that is, of course, something to consider. But I think you have to make sure that you advocate for yourself, which is really hard to do when you're in the middle of a dark depression. So sometimes it's a matter of just saying to one of your friends or family, can you help me make this phone call, because I don't even know how to start. So I'm really thankful that we've had this opportunity to, to partner with Janssen and really to let people know that there is help out there. And if you can't make the phone call, have someone else make that phone call for you.
Sally, let me ask you if you're open. I don't want to pry, but was there some things that happened? I mean, you had some concerns earlier on in college, I think you're mentioning, and now, a little later on, I guess. There's some life situation. Did you, sadly speaking, lose somebody, or what was there some kind of things that you would like to share that maybe somebody could say, this is not this happens, but I have to deal with it, right?
Sure. So, I lost my father early on, actually right before I began college. And so maybe that might have been one of the things that was the onset in my early depression, but then as I've gone through, my professional life and through the years, other things have happened. I've changed jobs, I've moved, I lost my mother not too long ago, a few years back. And so I think, but it really doesn't have to be one thing that could happen. It can just be a combination of things. And I think that everyone is different. And so what might be an event that sends one person into a depression might not be for someone else. And like I said, I really try to manage this every day. I try to exercise. I try to journal, make sure I'm paying attention to what I'm eating, talk to friends and family, talk to a counselor. So there really are a lot of different things that I try to do, as well as taking my antidepressants. So, I think that the thing to remember is that it's not the same for everybody, and it might look different for one person than it does for another. And what might work for one person might not work for you, but you don't give up. You keep trying, make another phone call, try and see if there's help out there for you. And there is. And so it's a combination of things, and it's a daily it's managing it every single day, just like with diabetes, where you have to look at your, what you're eating, insulin, things like that. It's no different with depression. Make the call if you need the help. There is help out there, and I'm really thankful that I have the opportunity to tell my story.
Well, there's no doubt that as we get older, and as our folks get older, or we lose our folks, that is, I know my mother was my staple, and those kinds of experiences that we're not prepared for. We don't go to college for. There's no courses in high school, and these are sincere. This is our family and our friends. I also saw a friend yesterday had a stroke, and so these are serious times. I'm going to ask the doctor what goes on when this situation occurs. So my buddy has a stroke. I'm sad. And so why did he have a stroke? What do we do to fix? And now he has to live with some depression. He's okay. He's
whatever the cause of well, good. I'm glad to hear that first off. But yeah, whatever the cause of someone's depression, the important thing, as Sally said, is to reach out for help and to talk with someone to get more information about Spravato. That you can go to spravato.com. And also want to make sure that everybody knows about the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, and that's at 1-800-273-TALK. And one final message: thank you so much for having us. Keep fighting. There is hope and there is help.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing. It's important. Sally, thank you for coming out and talking to us. Very, very honorable. You're a hero. Thank you.